So, you're interested in starting an online business, but you're not really sure how much it's going to cost you to get that business off the ground and also until it's profitable. Well, in this video, I'm going to walk you through each and every single aspect of your online business and let you know how much it's going to cost you on average based on our own experiences and our own seven-figure business, but also our clients' businesses starting from scratch until seven figures as well. So, let's get started. Now, the first thing I want to mention is that you can start an online business for free. Yes, it is possible. However, you will have to cut corners. You will have to not do some things which are recommended to make a large amount of profit, and ultimately your end goal or your outcome is going to suffer as a result. Things are going to look pretty amateur. Things are not going to be your own. They may be on third-party service websites like Wix or Squarespace or something like that, but it's not going to be great for you, right? So what I'm about to recommend to you is based on trial and error of trying all of the best software tools out there, all of everything in an online business that it would need, and also based on what gets the best results. Okay, so what I'm telling you here is not the cheapest way to do things, but it is the best in terms of making a profit. Now, according to some of my friends who have offline businesses, you know, the ones who have physical premises, who have employees, who sell things on the high street, their overheads are huge. We're talking like $10,000 up front to get the premises, to secure the product and inventory and everything else, and then an extra $10,000 per month just to run their business. And that's not taking into account any kind of marketing or profit or anything like that. So it's crazy. And with an online business, it's radically different. As I just mentioned, you can get started for free, but I think you'll be surprised at how cheap it can be to start an online business and how large your profit margins will be as well. One last thing before we get started is that all of the links for the tools I'm about to mention are in the description below this video if you're watching on YouTube, or right below this video if you're watching on my blog. Just keep in mind that I may have some of them as affiliate links, so I may get paid a commission if you buy through my link. It doesn't cost you anything extra, it's just there to help fund this channel and to grow our business and continue helping people around the world. Now, the first thing you need to do when starting an online business is to actually start the business. So this involves being incorporated. And this sounds very professional, like, oh, I'm an incorporated business, but it isn't actually that difficult to do. There are two main ways to do this. The first way is to be a sole trader or a sole proprietor. And this is essentially just declaring yourself that you are self-employed, that, you know, you have an online business and that's it. You go to the bank, you open a business bank account declaring that you're a sole trader, okay? Of course, you still need to pay taxes and everything else, but I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to tell you the pros and cons of both, but for the most part, the second option is going to be the best for you because that involves less risk, and that is becoming a limited or limited liability company, depending on where you are in the world. In the UK, it's LTD on the end of your business name. In the US, it's LLC, and there's a few variations of that as well. But this basically involves your business being a separate entity to yourself. So if something, God forbid, touch wood, you know, something bad happens in your business, then you are not liable for the most part. Now, of course, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an attorney. Legally, I have to tell you to seek legal advice if you are not sure which one is best for you. But for me, I started as a sole trader because I didn't really know what I was doing back then. And then nowadays, I've transitioned recently over to a limited company in the US. Now, the cost for setting up a limited liability company in the US, as of recording this video, ranges from between $40 and $500, depending on which state you live in, which I think personally really sucks because I think it should be the same for everyone, but that's just the way it is. Now, of course, this does not include any fees which you may pay a lawyer or business attorney or something like that to set this up for you if you don't want to do it yourself for some reason, but for the most part, it's fairly simple and you can do this yourself if you want to save a bit of money. Now, the next thing you should consider when starting an online business is equipment. Now, most people at this stage will think that they're now a business, they have to be professional, and they go out and buy all of the latest equipment, the high-end laptops, the super fancy desks with a billion buttons on them that'll transport them to another dimension or something like that. You get my point, right? They just spend a bunch of money on stuff that does not matter when it comes to generating a profit. When I first started my business, I was using a beaten up laptop about 4 years old that was running super slow, and honestly, I hated it. I didn't even have a desk. I was working on my lap with a laptop, hence laptop, and I just didn't really have a dedicated work area, and that's okay. So try not to go out splurging all of your money, wasting it on things and tools and software and desks and physical equipment that you may not even need. Only buy things when they become a necessity. Okay, don't try and anticipate what you'll need because you'll end up buying a bunch of stuff and not even using it. For example, I recently bought a printer. I printed off 2 pages in the last 3 months and it's just sitting there gathering dust. So don't make that mistake. Now, an obvious thing you'll need in your business is an identity. You can't just be some anonymous corporation. You need a company name and you need a company logo and also some sort of branding, right? Now, first off, the company name. You can do this yourself. If you are a creative person, you'll be able to think of this in possibly a few days, maybe a week or two, in the worst case scenario. And that's free. Of course, there's no cost to your brain, right? However, if you're struggling, if you're not a very creative person, or you're finding it difficult to come up with a name that isn't already taken by somebody else, you can use crowdsourcing websites like Squad Help, and that will just basically allow other people to come up with a name for you. So you tell them the concept of the business, what you'll be doing, what you'll be helping people with and so on, and they just chip in with a bunch of ideas and help you come up with something good that is also available. Now, of course, that comes at its additional cost, which you decide based on how much feedback you want, but that would be an additional cost to the business. And of course, that is optional. Most people don't require that sort of assistance. Most people can just come up with a name themselves, and you may already have one yourself. Once you have a company name, you of course need a logo to represent that company. Now, it's okay if you're a graphic designer or a creative person, you can create this yourself for free. That's totally fine. Equally, if you're not a creative person and you just create something in Paint with some text, that's totally fine to begin with as well, although I wouldn't recommend it because your company branding is something that instills trust in people, and if people don't trust you, they're not going to buy from you. So I would recommend spending a bit of money here just to get something that looks professional, that people can know that you're not some scam artist or whatever else. And a way to do that is to outsource this to people on Fiverr.com. Again, link in the description below this video, and you can actually hire people on there for between $5 and $20 on the low end and even over hundreds of dollars on the high end, but I wouldn't recommend spending that to create a logo for yourself. Now, this is really cool because you can look at previous designs they have done for other people and you can see if they're any good or not. Obviously, if their previous designs have been pretty terrible, then their design for you is not going to be great either. So definitely do your due diligence and have a look and see what's good and what's not, and then go with somebody that you feel confident with. Of course, they usually come with revisions as well. So if they come up with a few ideas or a design that you don't like, tell them. It's totally fine to let them know and they will come up with something better, right? But that's what we do with a lot of our students as well. You know, we say to them, do you have a logo? And they say no. I say, you know, it's only going to cost you 20 bucks maximum. Get it done and it's done. When you have branding for your online business, it's now time to actually get online, right? And this involves creating a website. Now, again, there are some free solutions here like Wix.com and a few similar alternatives. However, a lot of these services place heavy restrictions on what you can and can't do with those services. So I strongly recommend having your own website. That way everything is yours and you're not restricted by what you can and can't do. Now, I've made a list here of things which you'll typically need with your own website. And I'm going to work my way through them just so I don't miss anything for you. So number one is a domain name. Now, this is your domain.com, .org, whatever. I strongly recommend .com because it has more trust and people are more familiar with it, and that's their go-to when they type a domain name in. So a .com domain name will cost you around $10 per year, of course depending on the registrar that you use. Often as well, if you search Google for coupon codes, you can often discount this even further, right? So $10 a year for an online business, not too shabby at all. The next thing is a hosting account. So this is essentially the house for your domain name. Essentially, people type in their web address, which is your domain name, and then they arrive at whatever is in your hosting account, which is your web pages, files, videos, images, whatever else, right? So that will cost you around $5 to $10 a month. Now, again, this is not, breaking the bank. It's not like it's going to cost you thousands of dollars a month or something, but it's something to be aware of. And about $5 to $10 a month should get you something that's quite quick, quite secure, and allows you to have a lot of different things on that website, basically whatever you need. The next thing is your main website itself. A lot of people will, have you think it costs a bunch of money to get this stuff set up, but honestly, it's free. You can install WordPress, which you can actually install a theme into that WordPress installation, and that allows you to design your website yourself. Of course, it's not going to be as good as it would be if you were to hire somebody to create that website for you, but when you're just starting out, it's really all about just getting something online, not worrying too much about how good it is, and then you can improve over time. Okay, so again, install WordPress, and then I would recommend the Divi WordPress theme. And this allows you to just drag and drop things on the screen. You don't need to know HTML coding or anything else. Again, the link is in the description below. But this is what we use with all of our own websites and also with our clients' websites as well. An alternative, if you don't like Divi for some reason, is Elementor. That's a good one as well. But yeah, we typically use Divi for that because it just allows us to drag and drop things without knowing coding, which is always good as a beginner, especially. So sales funnels. So this is where we are talking about selling what your product is, basically. You know, if you're selling a digital product, this could be a video course, an ebook, whatever else. If you're selling a physical product, it could be, you know, clothing. It could be something which anything really, a widget or whatever else, right? So you can typically increase your conversion rates by having a sales funnel. And for us, in the past, we've tried so many different sales funnel softwares, like, you know, Groove Funnels we've tried recently, not that great, Kartra, ClickFunnels, Lead Pages, but above all of them, ClickFunnels works the best. In our opinion, in our experience working with clients in every niche you can imagine, ClickFunnels has always been the best, just because their tracking is amazing, their functionality is amazing. You can have one-click upsells, payment processing, everything. It's really cool to have that in place, and that is $97 a month. I don't recommend going for the higher priced option just because you probably won't need it, or, you know, paying for anything else there, any other upgrades, because typically $97 a month is enough. And that is the equivalent to your premises. You know, I mentioned earlier on in this video that offline business owners are paying like $10,000 a month for their premises. Obviously, it depends on the area, but you know, this is equivalent to your premises online. So this would be $97 a month instead of $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month. Pretty cool, right? The final thing with regards to your website is payment processing, and this is, you know, what we like to use is Stripe. So this actually is free. However, they build in the fees for using Stripe into the transactions that you receive from your customers. So let's say, you know, somebody pays you $10, you won't get that full $10. They will deduct a percentage of the sale, you know, in exchange for using their service. Honestly, it's not that bad. They have very competitive rates and they are incredible. They're one of my favorite companies, so definitely recommend Stripe for payment processing. And that's everything to do with your website. Again, you can hire somebody else to design the website for you, but that will often run you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, depending on what you want. Definitely not recommended. It's kind of like a big money suck at the early stages of your business. You first want a proof of concept before you start investing in making things better. I designed my own websites, terribly I might add, when I first started my online business, because one, I didn't have the money, and two, I realized that, you know what, I can always improve things as I go along. And only recently, about 2 years ago, did I hire somebody else to design my website for me, and that was about 8 years later, maybe 10 years later, since starting my business. The next set of costs you should be aware of are related to selling the thing itself, which is your product. Now, of course, this depends on if you're selling digital products or physical products. Now, physical products, you can get started with dropshipping, which doesn't require you to have a whole bunch of inventory in your garage or anything like that. You can literally have the customer order come through, it goes directly to the company, they ship it for you, and it's done, right? You never really see that product. Alternatively, if you sell digital products like video courses, ebooks, audio programs, coaching programs, whatever else, then you can actually do this yourself from home. You do not need some elaborate setup with a whole bunch of equipment, a massive studio or something like that. You can even write this yourself in an ebook format just on your laptop using any kind of word processor, even using Google Documents, right? It's really cool like that. But again, I've made a list here just so I don't miss anything. But the first thing is that, again, with a video, you don't need a huge studio. You just need your smartphone. Any recent smartphone with a video camera that can record in HD quality is totally fine. I recorded my first video course way back in the day on my smartphone, and that was about 8 years and 9 years ago now, and smartphones were nowhere near as good as they are now. So keep in mind that the quality should be at least HD quality. We're talking like 720p, 1080p HD. That will be totally fine. If you are at home, try and find a room where it's got a backdrop that isn't super messy, or like people would be pointing out like clean your house or whatever else, right? And also, if you don't have anywhere like that, you can just use a blank white wall. Just be sure you're not too close to it, otherwise it looks like you're in jail or something. And also, if you still don't have a blank white wall for some reason, you can just get a backdrop, a bit of cloth or something like that behind you. That's totally fine. But the most important thing is that you can just use what you probably already have, a good smartphone, right? The next thing is optional, which if you cannot find a part of your house where, or any kind of place, it doesn't necessarily need to be your house, but any place where it has good lighting, you can hire some lighting, or you can buy some lighting. So looking on Amazon, some basic guideline costs here would be $50 for lighting and around $25 for a lapel microphone. Now I actually use a shotgun microphone, which is just out of shot up here, but that's kind of expensive and kind of elaborate to set up and everything else. However, when you're just getting started, you can use a lapel microphone, which you can again find on Amazon for very cheap at about 25 bucks. So definitely nothing to break the bank, but it will enable you to have better audio quality instead of this echoey audio you might get from a phone, especially if the phone is quite far away from you, all right? The next thing is protecting your products from being accessed for free. Sometimes if you don't do this, your customers can share the link to your information products on the web, on social media and similar sites. And that way other people who haven't paid for your products can access them for free, which totally sucks. As a product owner, it's like, all these people are getting my stuff for free when other people have paid for it, right? It's not only unfair to the customer, but it's unfair on you because of the time and effort you put into those programs. So to save this from happening, you can actually use Active Member 360. Now this integrates with the next thing I'm about to talk about, which is Active Campaign. And this essentially creates a unique login area for each customer with their own set of login details. That way, if somebody refunds, you can block their access. And of course, if somebody hasn't purchased, they won't be able to log in because they won't have any login details. And again, if they share their login details, you can always cancel that account individually, okay? So that's that. That will be free for your first 50 customers. And after that, it is $27 a month. So hopefully by the time you've acquired your first 50 customers, you will be able to spend $27 out of your profits, right? So that's one thing that we do with a lot of our clients, just to save their stuff getting shared for free. Also, if you want to get started with dropshipping for some reason, you'd like the idea of delivery delays or shipping hassles and stuff like that, if that's something you want to do, that's fine. I would recommend Oberlo. That's Oberlo. It's quite a difficult word to say, right? Oberlo. But yeah, the link again is in the description below this video. So the next set of costs are related to actually marketing your products, because let's face it, it's not going to sell itself, right? Now, the words that you use to describe your product and how it's going to help people is going to have a direct impact on the amount of sales you make and therefore the amount of profit you make. So it's really important that if you don't have a background in sales, copywriting, especially online copywriting, I strongly recommend you hire somebody who has, right? Hire a copywriter. They will create some words, some sales copy, which will sell incredibly well for you and just enable you to make a whole bunch more profit than you would do if you were writing this stuff yourself. So either way, whether you're selling physical products or digital products, I strongly recommend this. Obviously the prices that they charge vary depending on what you are selling, but also on the freelancer and their experience. So with most copywriters, if they are just getting started, they've gone through a copywriting course, they don't really have a proven track record, they will charge around $100 to write a sales page for you. However, if you go with somebody who has a proven track record of writing copy for best-selling offers, you know, the ones you see at the top of affiliate marketplaces that are just crushing it with their sales, you know, those types of copywriters will charge around $2,000. Yes, you heard me right, about $2,000 for a sales page. But again, keep in mind, this is an investment in your future results. I paid a copywriter a few years ago about $3,000 for some sales copy. That has generated over 7 figures in revenue for us so far, like high 7 figures. So it's a massive ROI on this investment, and that's what you should try and see it as, like an ROI on everything instead of a cost, all right? But just to make you aware of that, that is something which I strongly recommend you get. It is optional, but it is something that will improve your sales. Another thing as well when it comes to marketing is that you shouldn't expect everyone to buy the first time around. Sometimes they'll need a little incentive, sometimes they'll need to trust you a little bit more, so you will want to have some kind of email autoresponder or email list or newsletter, if you will. Now, we use Active Campaign for this. If you get a bit more advanced, this could be upgraded to Infusionsoft, but Active Campaign is incredible for beginners because it only costs $15 a month. Yes, $15 a month, which is virtually nothing to have your own newsletter and allows you to do all kinds of cool marketing stuff related to sending newsletters, follow-up sequences to people who go to your order form but don't buy, and so on and so on. Once you have your marketing in place, you now need to send people to that marketing, which is called advertising. Now, you can do two different things here. Option one is to just spend sweat equity, blood, sweat and tears, time, effort, frustration, confusion, and so on using free traffic methods like writing articles, posting on social media, trying to get ranked well in Google, and just kind of crossing your fingers and hoping that some traffic is going to come into your website any point in the next 6 to 12 months. I don't know about you, but I don't like that idea. I would much prefer to have something that's reliable, that's scalable, and is much more professional in terms of acquiring customers at a profit. That's why I recommend paid traffic. We personally use Facebook ads as our main paid traffic source. We typically spend, I'm not going to tell you how much we spend. We spend a lot, but for a beginner, it's about $20 a day that I recommend, okay? If you spend anything less, then their algorithm will typically not be able to optimize that well for your objective of that campaign, and you will typically find it quite difficult to get some good results. So $20 a day minimum for that. Of course, that becomes self-funding. Don't think you're going to have to, calculate how much it's going to cost you for the next month and then the next month after that, because once you have your ad converting really well, you should be able to spend $100 in a day and make back at least $100 that same day. Okay, most companies are happy to break even after 30 days. Within that 30-day period, they wait 30 days in the hole. We personally don't like that idea because who wants to build a business that's in the hole for 30 days? But for us, we tend to break even on the very same day and then make a profit from people going through our upgrades and everything else after that. So keep in mind, traffic is not really a long-term cost. It's more of an investment in your future results. And once you get your campaign working well, it's going to really just bring home the bacon for you. Another big thing that people do when they start an online business is they think, I'm now a business, I need to be professional. I need to hire all of these employees and have a huge payroll every month, and they're suddenly drowning in debt, which is not a great way to start a business. Instead, I strongly recommend doing as much as you possibly can yourself, because that way you can not only learn, for the future, when you hire these people in the future, you know what to look for and you know who to hire based on their skills instead of just do your job, right? It's also much better because it's cheaper for you as well, right? And when you're starting a business, cash is king, and you need to keep that cash flow looking good, or at least as good as you possibly can, until you're making a good amount of profit. Now, the caveat to this rule is any role which would rapidly accelerate the growth of your business. And we're talking coaches, consultants, or agencies here, okay? So if you are not sure what to do when it comes to your online business, or you feel like you're just kind of spinning your wheels and not getting anywhere at a certain point, definitely hire a coach or consultant, or even get an agency to do it for you. Now, of course, the costs vary depending on their fees and what they charge, but you're looking at anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000 a month, sometimes even higher for some agencies, right? So keep that in mind if you want to speed up the process. Otherwise, you can do this for free by learning this stuff yourself. Now, finally, we have these small random costs that just come up out of nowhere and you think, I would have never thought of that stuff, right? These things are like $5 here, $10 there, $20 here, $20 there, but they're not really expected, and that's okay. So I would strongly recommend having a contingency or some kind of savings in place or a buffer in place just for those random costs that just crop up out of nowhere. For example, the copywriter might ask you, do you have a product graphic for your digital video course, for example? And you're like, oh crap, I don't have one, so I need to go to Fiverr.com, spend $20 on that, right? So keep in mind that you should have some sort of contingency plan for some sort of funds for these random costs that crop up. So those are the typical costs you can expect from starting and growing an online business. Now, once again, keep in mind, these are not all required. A lot of them are recommended by me to speed up your results to get you to a profit as soon as possible. Of course, you can start a business on the cheap, even for free, but that will take you a long time, and I would much rather you get to your end goal sooner rather than later. But now I'm going to break down the totals for you so you can see what is required and what is optional and how much that all comes to. So for the initial costs of starting your business in the very first month, if you want to do things on the cheap, if you want to just go with the bare basics, the bare minimums, just to get the thing online, this will cost you $202. I think a lot of offline business owners watching this video right now are just going to recoil in shock. Like $202 to start a business that can potentially get you to $10,000 a month. It's like, what? Right, $202 for the first month. However, if you want to speed up your progress to get better results, I've worked it out here that it will come to $2,797 if you hire that expensive copywriter and you're using the best people, you're using a lawyer to set up your business, incorporate the business and everything else. It'll come to about $2,797 compared to $202. Of course, keep in mind the larger amount will get you to your end goal faster. So what about after that? Well, before launching your online business, you obviously need software tools and everything else to get the business online. And that will come to $149. Yes, you heard me right. Your overhead to run and manage your successful online business is just $149. After launching, if you want to run paid advertising to your offers and your products, then that will cost you an extra $600 a month minimum. Of course, this totally varies depending on your budget and whatever you want to spend on advertising, but let's say minimum $600 a month. That will of course come to 600 plus 149, which is $749 per month to run your potentially six-figure online business. So that's it. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it valuable, give that video a thumbs up below this video if you're watching on YouTube, and also go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to make sure you never miss a future video, and good luck with starting your new online business.